This is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Hope you all are having a great weekend. Today's topic is how to run faster over the 2-mile distance. So these 2-mile run tips, really, I want to help to encourage you to get faster over this distance. And the reason why I'm making this video in this particular distance is really just out of the motivation that I saw from my nephew this past weekend. He finished 4th place at the Pennsylvania State Track and Field Championships in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, and he ran a personal best time of 9 minutes and 28 seconds to finish 4th place. And he was not far off the winners of that race. The guy that finished first ran 9:19, and Brock was running all of those guys down. He was running around 7th or 8th place, and then dropped, just kept passing people on that last lap. And what I see in him is a lot of what I was doing over the years as well, as a high schooler and as a collegiate athlete. And what he did that day really was really impressive, because he had slowly progressed and got faster and faster. I mean, he went from he had run 10:23, then he ran a 10 flat a few weeks ago, then he ran a personal best for 800 meters in 2 minutes flat. Then a 9:46, a 9:49, a 9:45, and then that perfect taper. I mean, he tapered himself down, ran 9:28 to finish 4th place at the Pennsylvania State Track and Field Championships. And the maturity that he showed in that race, I didn't have that capability as a high school athlete. And in fact, I didn't run my personal best for 2 miles of 9:27 until I was a sophomore in college. So the sky's the limit for him, and the sky's the limit for you. But what you have to do in terms of running fast over 2 miles is you have to be, without question, more important than anything outside of training in and of itself, is being patient. And Brock, I've seen him progress each year since he was a freshman, since he started running pretty much. And this is somebody that just continued to put in the work, was consistent, dreamed of, lived, and breathed running, and he continues to have that mindset. He has a success mindset, and all athletes that are even watching this video, all of you have it. There's nobody that doesn't have a high level of drive and motivation to succeed at whatever they do. And whether you're trying to train fast to run fast over a 2-mile race, or you're training for a half marathon or a 10K, there is nothing that can take the place of consistent, hard, smart work over a long period of time. And it's really about how long you're willing to do it. And what I've seen in Brock, and it reminds me of my own training when I was a high school athlete and collegiate athlete and later professional athlete. You have to put in the work and expect the fact that it's going to be a challenge. And I ran across a coach the morning of the race who had been coaching, I guess, for 40 years from what he told me. And we were discussing, he asked me why I was in Shippensburg, the Shippensburg area, and I told him that my nephew was running the 2-mile at the Pennsylvania State Track and Field Championships, AA boys division. And he had asked me, he says, so what is this personal best right now? What's he coming in with? I said 9:45. He ran 9:45.86 last weekend, and so he was seated as one of the top guys. But as I told the guy, the coach, I told him, I was like, he has the capability to probably go well under 9:30, and he wants to run 9:25 because he wants to run either for Liberty University or Penn State, and I think he's looking at Liberty. And so later on, I guess that particular coach caught up with Brock at the race and said, hey, I ran into your uncle at the hotel, and he said that you were aiming for sub 9:30. And sure enough, if Brock did not do it, he went out the first mile in 4:45, came back with a 4:43, ran a big personal best, dropping from 9:45 to 9:28. And the same thing with you, regardless if your current personal best is 15 minutes, there's no reason why you couldn't go from 15 minutes down to like a 14:20 or a 14:10 in one race. That's a big jump for 2 miles, but it's definitely possible. And you know, that particular coach, I talked to him again after the race, and he had brought up, and as soon as he said it, it made me think back to that video I created on process versus event. And I'll link that here so you can definitely check that out. It's probably one of my favorite videos that I've made here on the channel so far. He said, you know what, these athletes, what the people around them don't see is the process. And as soon as he said it, it brought me back. He said they see the fast times, they see these great athletes here at the state meet, but they don't see what they put in their off hours. They don't see the process. And it's so true. You know, I understand, Brock, because I live that lifestyle, and I understand that if you're wanting to run fast over 2 miles or any distance, you cannot be merely interested in being a better runner. You have got to be committed, and being committed is night and day difference. There's a huge night and day difference between being interested in succeeding and being fully committed. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't fully understand the level of commitment that it takes to make these massive jumps in ability. And so my encouragement to you over 2 miles is make sure that you're training and you're practicing your goal race pace. Train at paces, like if you're trying to run, say 14 minutes for 2 miles, you have to get 6:59 mile pace to feel more in control. You want to make sure that you're able to sustain that pace and slow down less than your competition. And the only way to do that is to practice getting uncomfortable. I mean, you're not going to run fast over the 2 mile distance because if you're not practicing that goal race pace and training well below it. And again, because the 2 mile event is such a highly anaerobic event, it's a speed race. So you have to develop your overall leg speed. And if you don't feel like you have a lot of leg speed, just keep doing focus on your strides. Do those 3 times a week. Like I said, they're too short to really build up any lactic acid. And you can do those strides. If you're doing a 16-week block of training, you're literally spending miles at sprint paces, but you're not really noticing it because you're doing only 500 to 600 meter strides each 3 times a week. But over a long period of time, you're really spending time at sprint efforts, training at paces that are much faster than you're going to race at for 2 miles. On top of doing your anaerobic work, your track sessions, doing those tempo runs, get that tempo run out to around 4 to 5 miles in length. You're doubling the distance of your race, but you're not running at such a fast effort that you're not going to be able to sustain it for 4 or 5 miles. You're going to be running at your anaerobic threshold. When you're running a 2 mile event, you're not running at your anaerobic threshold. You're running more toward your VO2 max, more toward your maximum oxygen capacity, your oxygen delivery while you're racing at these super hard anaerobic efforts, these super fast efforts. So if you can spend more time and lengthen out the distance of your tempo run, your anaerobic threshold run effort, the easier that 2 mile race pace that you're focused on is going to be. And I know Brock has done over distance runs. I remember him sending me just a few weeks ago, he sent me a picture of his Garmin. He had done a 12-mile run at 620 mile pace. And I told him, I was like, the workouts you're doing now, that 620 mile pace effort for over 12 miles, you're going to see the results of that workout a few weeks down the line. And if, sure enough, if it did not happen, I mean, he tapered his training down, his volume down, and because he did those over distance runs on top of his really hard track sessions he's been doing, coupled with the easy jogs that he's doing, that really, and his mindset was spot on. He had no concerns. He was just focused on running his race. And that's what I'd encourage you to do when you're preparing for your 2 mile. All of the running courses and training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com, they're all 16 weeks in length. So it's 4 months. You have plenty of time to properly prepare for an all-out 2 mile if you're focusing on anywhere from 12 weeks to 16 weeks in length. Preferably 4 months. 16 weeks is plenty of time to run a great 2 mile, especially if you're going after a very tough time that you've had in mind. And just know that what you're doing is something that's going to be a challenge. So it's not going to be easy. And if it was easy, a lot more people would be succeeding at what they're doing over this particular distance. So, the best advice I can give you is believe in delayed gratification. Don't expect fast results. Brock, I can tell you from watching him over the years, didn't just get to 9:28. He had a lot of disappointments. I saw him when he was upset. I saw him when he succeeded. And I continued to tell him, as I tell all of you, is just continue to put in the work. There are going to be days and there's going to be races where it hurts, where that, I remember him running 10 flat and he said, man, Uncle Nate, I was like, it hurts so bad to run that 10 flat. And I told him, I was like, as soon as you start dropping down your volume and your intensity, you're going to have other races where it's going to feel so much easier and you're going to run so much faster. And the Pennsylvania State Track and Field Championships, that's exactly what happened. He said after the race, he said he felt phenomenal. Even in the first mile, he felt like he was more like jogging, and he hit the first mile in 4:45, and then comes back to the second mile with a 4:43. It's just phenomenal. It's to see him do that was pretty impressive. It wasn't a shock to me because I knew based on the workouts he was doing what he was capable of, and I know he's going to continue to excel. And really, that's what I see in all of you, the athletes that watch these videos, the comments that I'm getting from you all. I've already seen some really impressive times from a lot of you that leave comments. And I got one guy that's he's more ultras, but this guy is phenomenal. He's a masters runner, running like 4:29, and he's like 45 plus years old. The guy's ageless. I got this other high school kid. He's a freshman. He just ran a 4:39. I got other athletes that are making big jumps in their personal bests. And I'm glad that what they're saying, a lot of these videos have been helping them, and that's the end game for me. I mean, I spent many years training hard, practically about 28 years training full time. All I did was focused on running, and at the same time, now looking back, the times that I ran, they don't help the athletes. It's the knowledge, it's the experience, it's the background in what I've done and what I've been taught from some of the world's top distance running coaches and some of the top distance running and middle to long distance runners I've trained with over the years, that really I want to share with all of you so you can get the best results, so that you can go out and run a huge personal best just like my nephew did. And so I wish you all the best with competing in this event. Make sure you're not focused so much on volume, because you don't need high volume to run a great 2 mile. You need quality over quantity. I would say anywhere from around 50 to 60% of your weekly volume should be focused on training at, near, or far below your goal 2 mile race pace. Get accustomed, get trained, spend some time training well below that pace so that you can get a better understanding of what it feels like to run 8 laps at your goal race pace and achieve that and to sustain that pace the whole way. So leave me a comment below if there's any other questions or concerns you have regarding this race, and anything you want to know about any background event or anything I've done over the years, or even any specific questions or concerns, definitely let me know and I'll reach back out to you. Wish you guys all the best, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.